Hey everyone, and welcome back to the news, where the news is actually pretty damn good because the Shadowlands release date is the 23rd of November this year. Yes, just under a month after the expansion was originally supposed to come out, that's when it's going to be coming out. And there's not that much else to say about it, really, other than, mark it in your calendars, that's when it's going to be happening. Now, that said, there are a bunch of other very useful dates for us. So we now know that Season 1 of the new expansion kicks off on the 8th of December. Now, that's when the new PvP season starts, that's when, the Mythic Plus season starts, with all of its stuff, and of course, where normal and heroic level raiding will start for Castle Nathria. So, really, your kind of goal is get your characters maxed, right? And then just be ready by Season 1 and get a little bit of renown done. That's pretty much what you'll want to be, what you'll want to be doing. Now, there is a little bit of a dramatic element here, and that is that Mythic Raids kick off on the 16th of December. And that is obviously rough for progression guilds. It'll certainly make the Race to World First a strange thing to put on, but maybe a better thing to watch because people might have time off for the holidays. Now, there has been a bit of drama here in that Ian made a post, I think back around the Nighthold era, that Blizzard didn't want to do stuff like that, when the raiding would be going on over the holiday period. And yes, they've obviously not done that now, but turns out that's what Blizzard wanted to do back then, and it probably still is what they would have wanted to do right now. But they will have had to have, weighed things up, because think about it, right? It's either that, or they delay the expansion or delay parts of it till 2021, and I don't think that's really the best thing for everyone. Is it really worth delaying massive swathes of an expansion just to protect Mythic Raids? Mythic Raids, they couldn't open later without then slowing down the Shadowlands Season 1 release date, because if the Mythic Raids came out and everyone was already fully geared in heroic gear, then, it wouldn't really be much of a Mythic Raid, would it? At least insofar as the Race to World First and all that sort of progression, cutting edge stuff tends to be. So it would have killed that, right? There's not really a way that they could have done this. And of course, if they had have delayed Season 1, that wouldn't have been great for your average player, because 2 weeks of Shadowlands would pass, maybe a bit more than that, and they'd just kind of be left thinking, I'd like to do all these things to progress my character, and now I can't. So, yes, it does suck for the Mythic Raiders, but I actually do think that on balance, it was the right move for Blizzard to make. Okay, next, pre-patch. 10th of November, so not that far away. Well, okay, the pre-patch event. Obviously, the pre-patch is out right now. So that will give us 3 weeks of the actual pre-patch event, I believe. So there'll be the small Week 1 content, which of course also has the zombie invasion, then the longer Ice Crown Week 2 content, and then a final week to just grab some extra gear by continually doing the Ice Crown stuff before we actually kick the expansion off. Yeah, that'll be it then, won't it? So, that's us. We now know what is going on with Shadowlands, finally. I then wonder, maybe is it a February sort of situation for maybe a 9.1, something like that? Certainly, we should remember that BlizzCon is going to be in February of 2021, so it's actually not that long till BlizzCon, which is a pretty exciting thing because I imagine we will get some form of, World of Warcraft announcement that'll fill us in on the next few patches of this expansion. So that's what's going on there, and also it's almost the end of this month, which does mean it's pretty much the last chance to get in on all of the Patreon art and, of course, the Rogue class pin, which is at this month's Patreon stuff. Remember, Patreon charges at the end of a month for patronage, so if you sign up now, you'll be charged once the month ticks over to November, and we'll be able to send everything over to you. Big thank you for all of the support there. It really has helped a lot, and we've had the team grow, and it's actually quite nice. The team's sort of grown. Everyone is now a lot more settled in. And now that we have a date to work to, it's really going to help us actually, make all of that launch content. Because, my God, we have a lot of content to make. Okay, there's that, right. Let's move on. The story trailer was posted on YouTube, and there really aren't massive spoilers or anything like that, but there are a few little tidbits to talk about. So, Sylvanas is there, and you see her in sort of, CG form, so yes, there's probably some sort of Sylvanas cinematic, and basically her voiceover just says that her motivation is to basically control fate. And in my opinion, what that overall means is that her plotline is going to be all about wanting to undo the systems established by the first ones. Something along those lines. There's then, of course, lots of trailery things. There's a lot of taunting from Zovaal. Nathanos taunts us, but I mean, it seems pretty obvious that Tyrande shoots him up and probably kills him. Of course, that Nathanos cinematic is something we'll be able to see, well, on the 10th of November, because, of course, Nathanos will be a world boss, and we believe when we kill him, we will get a cinematic. And that obviously is some vengeance for his part in, doing Teldrassil and in Darkshore, where, he helped to raise up a bunch of Tyrande's friends. So it's probably hard to do that. Then also, Anduin, right? So we sort of see him, he's a bit bent over, he seems like he's beaten up, or he's in a bit of a pickle. This could be a little bit from the Maw intro. I'd imagine it's something like that. Maybe it happens later on, but what he says is, "The light is with me, even here." Now, that is something that is a standard thing that Anduin would say, but we do actually get to see the light break into the Shadowlands in a few places. So perhaps, as the expansion goes on, we're going to see a little bit more of just sort of his relationship with the light, and maybe all of that light and void stuff that is actually, well, teased quite a lot in the Shadowlands. Maybe that will actually be expanded upon. But overall, though, there's not much to the core story here other than Zovaal's the big bad guy, Sylvanas is obviously helping him, and that does make a lot of sense, because it's pretty hard to get all of, the Covenant context and the actual story that you'll be playing for most of it crammed into a short trailer. So, there's that. Now, let's talk about the delay itself, because, I suppose the news I've just talked about is really sort of just, clarifying now that, the delays, not that it's over, but, we kind of have a firm end date. But why delay? Because a lot of people, there's a lot of people who are pissed off when the delay happened, right? They didn't really want that to happen, and yeah, there's just generally some salt there, and a lot of that was understandable because people were very hyped, but at the same rate, there was a lot of people who were not beta testers who, I think if they were beta testers, they definitely would have had a different opinion, because let me tell you, Shadowlands was supposed to come out a few days ago. If it did, it would not have been good, right? There are lots of bugs on beta. There's just problems. So let's talk about why the delay happened and what Blizzard did. So endgame balancing is a fairly major thing. Now, even design-wise there, they have actually made major changes to the soulbinds, where your soulbind, basically like the end talent of the soulbind, is now the first thing that you get. And that basically means that selecting your Covenant more instantly, sort of gives you some power. And there's also a bunch of balance reasons why that could be a good idea. Also, they've been iterating a lot on conduits, right? Just the balancing and stuff like that. And generally, there just has been lots of bounce passes and even design passes on some things. And it certainly is interesting that we're getting design passes even when it is pretty damn late in the game. So there's been that. Also, there's been more bug fixing. There's been Blizzard working on the leveling experience for 50 through 60, which we're still not 100% final on, because it just seems there's like one or two little odd quibbles that are going on. I imagine that will be polished up by the time the game actually comes out. And then, of course, the Maw, right? They've kind of reworked some of the rewards for the Maw. They're doing things like, I think there's an item coming in as well. Actually, there is an item coming in that will let you learn a random legendary that you currently don't have, and that's on a per class basis, which could actually be pretty cool, because that would mean if you really did not want to do PvP and you unlocked most of the other, the other legendaries, then you could unlock the PvP one without doing PvP by using that item. So that's one thing that they developed, in that delay period, and I'm certain that that's something a lot of players will appreciate quite a bit. So overall, look, there was a lot of stuff that was really very needed. And there's still going to be core, design issues with this expansion, because there was never enough time to build and pull a ripcord or do anything like that. But what there was time to do was to basically ensure that bad things wouldn't happen, right? To actually sort of sand down some of the rough edges, and that's really a lot of what they were doing. So yes, a launch this week would have been quite bad. I am happy that we're not playing Shadowlands right now, and it basically has given Blizzard the time that I really do think they needed to finish things up. So I think it's net a pretty good situation for the expansion that this happened. Then next up, we've got two interesting things for Blizzard's staff. Of course, one of them is Chris Metzen. So Chris Metzen, as we know, he has returned to voice Thrall, but as he has said on Twitter, he's not actually involved in making the decisions or anything like that there. He, technically speaking, had retired. But he's not retired anymore, because Warchief Games, which is a board gaming company, is something that he's now co-founded. And what's interesting is he's co-founded with another decently high-level Blizzard person who's no longer working at Blizzard, who recently quit. Now, that guy was the VP of Quality Assurance at Blizzard, and a lot of people, whenever I mention that, they kind of goofed on him. What I'd say there is, yeah, you can be the VP of Quality Assurance, and then you can just not be given enough budget or not be given, the capabilities to actually make the changes that you want, right? And, of course, Blizzard QC had been really, really good in the past. It's, just been a bit more iffy lately with some of their stuff, but basically that's what's going on there. As to why that guy left, it's really hard to say. Maybe he's just really good friends with Chris Metzen, right, from back in the day, and maybe they just want to go do a board game company together. That certainly sounds like a very fun thing to do. Now, also, Dave Kosak has left. Now, you will know him because he's basically the face of Hearthstone. He kind of replaced Ben Brode. Now, Ben Brode, and I believe his right-hand man, or sort of second, I forget the exact job title, but they left Blizzard to form Second Dinner like 2 years ago, I think. And after that, Dave Kosak, who of course was, I believe, a narrative designer on World of Warcraft, he'd ended up moving over to the Hearthstone team, and he was the face of Hearthstone, right? He was in all of those kind of like, I guess, sort of campy, over-the-top promo videos that they would do for Hearthstone. He was in all of those, and he's now gone. He has left a startup that is actually in a similar area to Blizzard. I think they were founded in March of this year. He seems to have a decently significant role, but we basically don't know what's going on, what the company's doing, or anything like that. Though certainly it was interesting. We saw StarCraft 2 being wound down. We saw a bunch of StarCraft people, or just, ex-Blizzard RTS people form Frost Giant Studios. Then within a week, we see their VP of Quality Assurance and, end up, he left the company, then went to work with Chris Metzen, and Kosak's gone as well. So there's a lot of big names who are going away. Personally, I'm interested in what, just sort of working out what's Craig Amai doing, what is Corey Stockton doing, and what's Tom Chilton doing? I mean, those are all names that they kind of went into the same space that Brian Holinka went into, but then Holinka came back out to work on, to work and stuff on World of Warcraft. He's on the WoW team right now. So it does make me wonder just what is up there. We had believed they were going into the incubation unit in Blizzard, which was working sort of, smaller projects in the same way that Hearthstone was originally like a smaller, more kind of startup-y vibe game with, within the company. So who knows what's going on there, but certainly it's an interesting situation. There's just a lot of chaos swirling around Blizzard. We don't really know what's up. Anyway, there's that. Let's move over to the other stories of this week, where it had been a decently slow week until we found out when, Shadowlands would come out. So just to run through them, Unbound Chaos, it was it was a talent for the Havoc Demon Hunters. It was quite fun, where you'd Fel Rush and then a big demon would sort of plop down and do some damage. But basically, usability concerns have meant that Blizzard are now just making it a 300% buff to Fel Rush damage after you use Immolation. Or which, it's a similar function, but it is less exciting. I did see, though, quite a few DHs were disappointed. And I'll certainly say I really enjoyed using that ability in its older form on the beta, so I'm kind of sad about that. So there is that. Now, also, there was very recently a big wave of balance across the legendaries and the conduits. The ENR named legendary was also redesigned. Just a few legendary kind of tweaks were going on. And also, finally, nice change for the monks. Touch of Death has now got an extra spec-specific effect. Now, that's pretty cool. You're getting like more stagger if you're Brewmaster, so that's pretty sweet. Although, that said, they did play into a pet peeve of mine, which is that you get 3 Chi Orbs if you are a Windwalker. And, I really noticed this the most in Legion whenever the haste values and stuff were getting really wacky towards the end, but Blizzard would keep on giving you talents and things and powers that would give you more Chi, but it's kind of like an anti-pattern because you're sitting there getting all this Chi, and your kind of only way to actually use that Chi, in a way that's sort of disconnected from your cooldowns is to sometimes just wait and then even risk capping energy, because if you do the same ability twice in a row, what happens? You break your mastery. So I wish Blizzard would find a way to just do cool stuff in Windwalker that did not involve giving them more Chi. So anyway, there's my little mini rant going. It's not like I'm going to be maining that class anymore. Anyway, then PvPers, you've got some, I'd say, pretty good news. Blizzard have doubled the PvP trinket set bonus. Now, this set bonus basically is like, I think it's a percentage multiplier on your versatility or something like that, but they've doubled it, is the core message here. Now, the whole reasoning there is that there was still this problem, right, where yeah, you're PvPing, you do have PvP trinkets you could access, but why not go get one from Castle Nathria that could be super powerful? Well, the goal now is that you want to get a 2 set of PvP trinkets so that they will massively boost your versatility, with obviously versatility being a massive PvP stat. So that should mean that PvPers will not want to go and get PvE trinkets in order to do PvP. Now, they may still want to do PvE in order to gear up their character faster, but yeah, sort of solves one problem that had existed. So who knows? I'm still pretty sure that Rex Troy will be able to do something with some wacky trinket somewhere. Another good bit of news, you will not be able to power level and exploit weekly reset timings in order to do things like maybe get a week ahead on your renown, as an example. Now, that still might happen, but at least Ian Hazzikostas, the game director, did tweet that they're going to ensure that that doesn't happen. So hopefully that is the case. I do not think that people who can power level their characters in 6 hours should end up in some sort of an advantage over other players. I think that's not particularly ideal, especially if it's just gaming the technicalities of a regional reset. Okay, there's that. Moving on quickly, you can right now overlap the Impressive Influence buff with the World Quest bonus event for 50% and 100% rep bonuses when doing your World Quests. You still want to do World Quests, that is, but that's pretty handy for working on your Legion and BFA reps, and if you really, truly want to be going there getting, 60, 70, 80 of those little Paragon boxes in order to try to get those mounts from Legion, which is a pretty tormented experience that I definitely would not recommend, even though that Stormdrake is pretty damn cool. Okay, there you go. This is a bit of a shorter edition of the WoW News because, frankly, yeah, you're just like, hey, Shadowlands is coming out at this date. There's not much more cutting-edge analysis really to be done, is there? Of course, if you want to support the team that is going to be bringing you content and Shadowlands, working all that stuff, bam, you got the Patreon, you put this up on your wall, your notebook, whatever. Also, the pin, all very cool, fun stuff, and yeah, so the way that works is you're charged at the end of this month. So, if you patron to us on, the 1st of October, Patreon doesn't actually charge you until the end. Well, technically, it's actually the very start of November. They charge you for October, which is really not intuitive, but it kind of does make sense. I kind of prefer it that way. So, anyway, yes, that's how that works. We've currently got all of the stuff at my parents' house. They now, they help us out, obviously, be compensated for it, and they help us with some of the, the postage and stuff, which is pretty awesome. Turns out, when you're posting a lot of things, oh boy, it's a lot of effort, but yeah, it's all good fun. So yeah, that's essentially that. Also, I will be today, it's a bit late, it will be up by the time you've seen this video, though, posting a bit of a behind the scenes, which is, just I think it's 5 or 6, 7 minutes of me walking around the office, pointing the camera at various interesting things we've received, including some press kits from Blizzard, and yeah, just giving you an update. So that's everything that's going on. There's my brain dump. You could maybe tell that it's kind of late at night at the time that I'm recording this. Anyway, there you go. Shadowlands, we know when it's happening, finally! Which means that I can open my Excel spreadsheet, work out what the hell our video schedule is, and then get cracking on a lot of class content. Oh boy, it's going to be something. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.